John Summers stared out the viewport at the icy surface of Europa. The Jupiter moon's endless plains of blue-white ice stretched to the horizon. After 5 years working security at Outpost Galileo, he still found the view beautiful, if a bit lonely. Beautiful day for a kidnapping, he muttered to himself, not knowing how prophetic those words would be. John checked his tablet as it chimed with a message. It was from his wife, Dr. Lisa Summers. Working late on drive calibrations, don't wait up for dinner, love you. He smiled. Lisa had been working on the quantum drive project for 3 years now. The technology promised to make travel between Earth's colonies instant, maybe even open the door to the stars beyond our solar system. A security chief married to the lead physicist meant John knew more about the project than most. It also meant many late nights alone. As he walked through the metal corridors of the outpost, John nodded to passing researchers. At 6'2", with broad shoulders and a military buzz cut, the former Marine stood out among the scientists. He still kept in shape despite leaving the service 5 years ago. Europa's lighter gravity made workouts easier, but he compensated by adding more weight to his exercises. Reaching the security office, John settled in for his evening shift. The screen showed all was normal across the outpost's 12 sectors. 300 people lived and worked here, mostly scientists and engineers, with a small security team of 15. Their job was mainly to prevent accidents and handle the occasional dispute between stressed researchers. "Hey boss," said Megan Bailey, one of his officers, as she came in for her shift check. "Quiet night?" "So far," John replied. "Though Lisa's team is pulling another all-nighter with the drive." Megan rolled her eyes. "Scientists? When was the last time you two had a proper date night?" "Can't remember," John admitted. "Maybe when we get back to Earth next month for..." The alarm cut him off. Red lights flashed across the security hub screens. "What the hell?" John's fingers flew across the controls. "Pressure breach in Sector 7, and... what is that?" The external cameras showed something impossible. A sleek silver craft hovering above the research wing. It wasn't human design. No engines were visible, no exhaust plumes, just smooth metal, gleaming under Jupiter's distant light. "Get a team to Sector 7 now," John barked at Megan as he grabbed his sidearm. "Full emergency protocols. Alert Earth Command." He sprinted down the corridor, heart pounding in his chest. Sector 7 housed the Quantum Drive Project. It housed Lisa. The emergency bulkheads were closing as John reached Sector 6. He slid under the final door just before it sealed tight. The air on the other side tasted different, metallic and strange. John saw them then and froze in shock. They weren't human. 3 figures moved through the lab ahead. They stood on 2 legs but were taller than any human, with slim bodies and 4 arms each. Their skin was pale blue and seemed to shimmer in the lab's bright lights. Their heads were bulbous with large black eyes and no visible nose, just small slits where a human's mouth would be. John pressed himself against the wall, watching as the aliens moved with precision through the lab. They were gathering equipment, samples and data drives, placing everything in floating containers that hovered at their sides. Then he saw Lisa. She and 5 other researchers were being herded together by another alien. She looked terrified but defiant, standing protectively in front of her younger colleagues. John raised his gun, then hesitated. He was outnumbered, and these beings had technology far beyond anything he'd seen. What if firing triggered them to kill all the scientists instantly? One of the aliens approached Lisa, holding out a small device. It spoke, the sounds unlike anything John had heard. Clicks and whistles no human throat could make. Lisa shook her head, clearly not understanding. The alien touched the device to its throat and spoke again. This time, to John's shock, it spoke in halting mechanical English. "You, lead, scientist, come, bring knowledge." Lisa's voice carried across the lab. "We won't help you steal our work. This technology belongs to all humanity." The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "Humanity, primitive, confined to one system. We take what we need. You come to study." With growing horror, John realized they weren't just stealing the technology. They were taking the scientists too. He had to act. But as he prepared to step out, a heavy hand grasped his shoulder from behind. John spun around, ready to fight, but found himself staring at another alien, this one wearing what looked like armored plates over its blue skin. John lashed out with a punch that should have knocked a human unconscious. The alien barely flinched. Its forearms moved in a blur, and suddenly John was pinned against the wall, unable to breathe. Human, strong, but slow, the alien said in that same mechanical voice. It pressed a device to John's neck, and burning pain shot through him. Fighting to stay conscious, John saw the alien examine his security badge. Not scientist. Protector only. Useless. The alien flung John aside like he weighed nothing. John crashed into a storage closet, the door slamming shut as he fell. The impact sent equipment tumbling around him as darkness closed in. The last thing he saw before passing out was the alien dropping something small outside the closet door. He woke hours later to silence. His head throbbed, and his neck burned where the alien had touched him. The outpost emergency lights cast a dim red glow under the closet door. John pushed himself up, wincing at the pain in his ribs. He forced the door open and stepped out into a scene of destruction. The lab was in ruins, equipment scattered and broken, and it was empty. No aliens, no researchers, no Lisa. He staggered forward, calling out names, but only his echo answered. On the floor near where he'd been attacked sat a small metallic object, the device the alien had spoken into. John picked it up, turning it over in his hands. It appeared to be some kind of translator. When he touched it to his throat, as the alien had done, it felt warm. "Hello?" he said experimentally. The device hummed, then emitted those same strange clicks and whistles he'd heard earlier. John walked, numbly, to the breach point. A perfect circle had been cut through the outpost's reinforced hull, now sealed by emergency systems. Through the nearest viewport, he could see nothing of the alien craft. They were gone. They had taken the quantum drive technology. They had taken Lisa and her team, the most advanced human technology and some of the brightest human minds, stolen, in minutes, by beings from beyond our solar system. John clutched the translator in his hand until his knuckles turned white. The aliens had made a critical mistake. They thought humans were primitive, confined to one system, no real threat. They'd taken what they wanted and left him behind as useless. But they didn't understand what they'd done. They'd taken a Marine's wife. They'd taken a Deathworlder's mate. And John Summers would tear the galaxy apart to get her back. 2 weeks after the attack, John sat in a cold meeting room at United Earth Defense Force headquarters in Denver. The walls were bare metal, the table sleek and black. 4 stern-faced officers stared at him from across the table. None of them looked happy. "Mr. Summers, we understand your frustration," said General Alan Peters, a gray-haired man with hard eyes. "But what you're asking is impossible." John leaned forward. "With all due respect, sir, I'm not asking. I'm telling you what I'm going to do. I need resources." A woman with Colonel's bars, Diane Russell, tapped her tablet. "You expect us to give you a ship, weapons, and support to chase aliens we've never encountered before? Aliens with technology far beyond ours?" "They took my wife. They took 12 of our best scientists," John said, his voice steady despite the rage burning inside him. "They stole our most advanced technology. If we do nothing, they'll be back for more." The youngest, Officer Major Frank Diaz, shook his head. "You don't know that. This could have been a one-time raid. If we pursue them, we risk starting an interstellar war humanity isn't ready for." John placed the alien translator on the table. Over the past 2 weeks, he had learned to use it, studying the alien language patterns it produced. The device contained more than just translation functions. It held star charts, communication protocols, and fragments of data about the aliens who called themselves the Vikrani. "They're already studying us," John said. "They classified Earth as a death world, and humans as primitive but physically strong. They're not afraid of us. They think we're stuck in our solar system." General Peters picked up the device, turning it over in his hands. "Even if what you say is true, what exactly do you propose? We have no way to follow them." John smiled for the first time. That's not entirely accurate, sir. 3 hours later, John walked through a secure hangar at the UEDF's lunar base. Beside him strode Olivia Martinez, a compact woman with short black hair and eyes that missed nothing. Her pilot's jacket bore patches from UEDF Special Operations. When you said you were putting together a rescue mission, I thought you were crazy, Olivia said, eyeing the ship before them. Now I know you are. The vessel was experimental, designated XVS-7, nicknamed Retribution by its engineers. It was smaller than most military craft, designed for speed and stealth over raw power. Its sleek black hull absorbed light rather than reflecting it. Crazy works for me, John replied. You're the best pilot I know, Olivia. I need someone who can fly this thing. Olivia crossed her arms. And the UEDF just handed it over to you? Not exactly. Let's call it an unofficial loan. General Peters understands what's at stake, even if he can't officially sanction the mission. A loud clang drew their attention to a hatch where a tall man with flaming red hair was wrestling with a crate. Ryan Kelly, communications specialist and the best hacker the UEDF had ever produced. He had been discharged 3 years ago for creative interpretations of security protocols. Little help? Ryan called out. John moved to grab the other end of the crate. Inside were modified communication systems Ryan had designed, capable of intercepting and decoding the alien transmissions John had discovered through the translator. Still can't believe you found me, Ryan said as they carried the equipment toward the ship. I was off the grid. No one stays hidden from Megan Bailey when she wants to find them, John replied. Ryan grinned. Your security officer? She's terrifying. She wanted to come, but someone needs to manage things at Europa. John set down the crate. The outpost is in chaos. Half the staff evacuated back to Earth. As they loaded Ryan's equipment, 2 more figures approached across the hangar floor. Sam Williams carried several cases of what John knew were experimental weapons. Beside him walked Grace Harper, a xenobiologist who had spent her career theorizing about potential alien biology. Sam nodded to John. Got everything we discussed and then some. If these aliens have weaknesses, we'll find them. Grace looked nervous but determined. I've studied the physical descriptions from your report. If these Vikrani exist, they evolved in conditions very different from Earth. Lower gravity, less atmospheric pressure, probably minimal temperature variations. Meaning? Olivia asked. Meaning they may be technologically superior, but physically they're adapted to easy living. Earth is harsh by galactic standards, high gravity, extreme weather, rapid temperature changes, not to mention the predators our ancestors faced. John thought about how easily the alien had pinned him. They're stronger than they look. Stronger than you expected, maybe, Grace said. But you survived a full-gravity world. You're built to endure punishment they can't imagine. And if the translator data is correct, they're taking your wife and the others to their homeworld. Sam grinned. Which means they're bringing Deathworlders to their comfortable little planet. Poor bastards don't know what they're in for. As the team loaded the last of their supplies, John studied them. None were current military except Olivia, who had taken an abrupt leave of absence. All had reasons to help. Ryan owed Megan a favor. Sam wanted to test his weapons against alien tech, and Grace had spent her life preparing for this moment. But more importantly, all of them understood what was at stake. If humans could rescue their people and retrieve their technology, it would prove humanity wasn't to be trifled with. If they failed, Earth would remain vulnerable to future raids. Once aboard, Olivia took her place at the controls. The ship's interior was cramped but efficient, designed for a small crew. The engine room housed a prototype of the same quantum drive the aliens had stolen. The drive isn't fully tested, Ryan warned as he initialized the systems. The scientists were still calibrating it when they were taken. Can it get us where we need to go? John asked, strapping into the command chair. Ryan nodded reluctantly. According to your translator data, yes. I've uploaded the coordinates of what appears to be a trading outpost. If we're going to find information on where they took our people, that's our best bet. Grace looked up from her station. Are we really doing this? Humanity's first journey beyond the solar system. And it's 5 people in an experimental ship hunting aliens. Sam checked the weapons locker. Would you prefer we wait for the diplomats and politicians to debate it for a decade? Retribution ready for launch, Olivia reported. All systems nominal. John took a deep breath. Somewhere out there was Lisa and the others. Somewhere beyond the stars they knew. He pressed the communicator to contact Lunar Control. XVS-7 requesting launch clearance. Authorization code, Summer Delta 74. There was a pause before Lunar Control responded. XVS-7, you are cleared for departure. Godspeed and good hunting. As the hangar doors opened to the star-filled void, John felt a strange mix of fear and determination. They were about to venture further than any human had gone before, armed with experimental weapons, incomplete star charts, and a burning need for justice. Taking us out, Olivia said quietly as the ship lifted from the lunar surface. The stars beckoned, and somewhere among them waited the aliens who had made a fatal mistake. They had stolen from Deathworlders. The quantum jump was unlike anything they had expected. For a moment that seemed both instant and eternal, the ship existed in two places at once. John felt like his body was being pulled apart and pushed together at the same time. Then reality snapped back into focus and stars appeared on the view screen. "Everyone alive?" John asked, his voice rough. Sam groaned from his station. "Barely. Feels like I got kicked by a horse." "The drive worked," Ryan said, checking his instruments with shaking hands. We're actually here." Here was a region of space near a small red star. In the distance they could see a structure, a massive rotating ring with countless lights and small vessels moving around it. "The trading post," Grace whispered, her face pressed to a viewport. "An actual alien trading post, just like in the translator's data." Olivia ran a scan. "I'm detecting hundreds of ships of various sizes, energy signatures unlike anything in our database. And that station, it's bigger than our largest orbital platform by at least 10 times. John studied the station through the main viewer. This was humanity's first glimpse of the wider galaxy, but he couldn't enjoy the moment. Somewhere out there was Lisa, being held by aliens who saw humans as specimens to study. "Ryan, can you tap into their communications?" John asked. Ryan was already working his console. "The translator device has their basic protocols. Give me a few minutes." "There, I'm receiving station broadcasts." The universal trade language seems to be what the translator calls common trade speak. It's routing the audio to our comms now. Strange voices filled the bridge. Clicks, chirps, rumbles, and sounds no human vocal cords could produce. The translator processed them into halting English. "Attention vessels approaching Sector 7. Docking procedures require registration of species and origin. Unregistered vessels must apply at Outer Ring for temporary permits." "They have bureaucracy," Sam said with a snort. "The universe really is the same everywhere." Grace was studying sensor data. "I'm counting at least 12 distinct species from visual scans alone. Different body types, atmospheric requirements. This is incredible." "We need to dock and gather information," John said. "But we can't just announce we're humans from Earth. Not if we want to stay under the Vikrani's radar." Ryan looked up from his console. "According to the traffic data, there are dozens of species they haven't identified. We could claim to be from an unmapped world." "Will they believe that?" Olivia asked. "We don't exactly look like anything else out there," Grace said. "We'd be classified as new regardless." John nodded. "Ryan, request docking clearance. Tell them we're independent traders from an unmapped world seeking information." An hour later, the Retribution was secured in a docking bay designed for vessels of various shapes and sizes. The airlock connected to a flexible tube that adjusted to their ship's dimensions. "The atmosphere reads as breathable," Grace said, checking her handheld scanner. "Higher oxygen content than Earth, slightly lower pressure. We'll feel a bit lightheaded at first, but we should adapt quickly." John looked at his team. "Sam and I will go first. Olivia, keep the ship ready for a quick exit if needed. Ryan, monitor communications and try to hack into their information networks. Grace, analyze any data we send back about the species we encounter." Sam checked his concealed weapon. "What's our cover story?" We stick as close to the truth as possible, John replied. We're looking for our people who were taken by the Vikrani. We just leave out the part about being from Earth. When John and Sam stepped through the airlock into the station, they entered a world beyond anything humans had imagined. The ceiling soared 50 feet above them, necessary to accommodate the various sizes of the station's visitors. The gravity was lighter than Earth's, making each step feel bouncy and unnatural. And the aliens, they were everywhere. Tall, willowy beings that seemed to float rather than walk. Short, squat creatures with multiple limbs scurrying about on business. Things that looked more plant than animal. Beings that glowed with internal light. Don't stare, John muttered to Sam, though he was having trouble following his own advice. They made their way through what appeared to be a main concourse. The walls were lined with shops and information terminals. Strange smells, some pleasant, others revolting, filled the air as they passed food vendors selling items John couldn't begin to identify. Many of the aliens stopped to stare at them. Some even backed away, creating distance, or causing quite a stir, Sam noted. A small creature with 6 limbs and scales that shifted color approached them. It wore what looked like a uniform with glowing symbols. New species? It asked through a device similar to their translator. No record in database, John nodded. We're from an unmapped world. First time traveling this far. The creature's scales flickered from green to blue. Registration required for station access. Follow for processing. They followed the official to a small office where another alien waited. This one was taller, with pale pink skin and 4 arms. Its eyes were large and entirely black. I am Station Registrar Kilnoth, it said. Species identification and homeworld details required. John gave the name of a star near Earth, but not Earth itself. We call ourselves humans, the registrar's eyes widened. Physical details required for database. Grace had coached them for this. John listed basic human physiological data, keeping it simple. The registrar entered the information, then paused. Gravity of homeworld? 0.8 meters per second. Squared, John replied. The alien froze. Its skin paled further. Verify. This measurement indicates Deathworld conditions. Sam shifted uncomfortably. That's normal for us. The registrar backed away slightly. Atmospheric pressure? Temperature range? John provided the numbers for Earth's atmosphere and the temperature ranges humans could endure. With each answer, the registrar seemed more disturbed. When John mentioned that humans were omnivores who had evolved as persistence hunters, the alien actually trembled. Classification. Class 5. Deathworlder, it whispered. Extremely rare, extremely dangerous. John leaned forward. We're looking for information about a species called the Vikrani. They took some of our people. The registrar's hand shook as it operated its console. Vikrani, technologically advanced, arrogant, known for acquisition of technologies and specimens. Where can we find them? Sam asked. The registrar hesitated. Main research facility on Tekaris Prime. But why would Vikrani take Deathworlders? Too dangerous to study. They may not have known what they were taking, John said. Can you tell us how to reach Tekaris Prime? The registrar seemed conflicted but finally transferred data to a small device and handed it to John. Coordinates and travel routes. Please, when you find Vikrani, tell them not all species approved of taking your people. As they left the office, word had clearly spread about their classification. The crowded concourse parted before them, aliens of all types moving away as they passed. I feel like I have the plague, Sam muttered. No, John replied, noticing the fear in the eyes of the beings around them. They're afraid of us. Really afraid. Back on the ship, they shared their findings. Grace was ecstatic about the classification system. It explains everything. Most sentient species evolved on worlds with stable conditions and few predators. Earth, with its high gravity, extreme weather, and dangerous wildlife, is rare. Humans evolved to survive conditions that would kill most other species, Ryan looked up from the data they'd acquired. I found something in their network. The Vikrani have been rushing research on the quantum drive technology they stole, and they're scheduled to transport their specimens to their main research facility in 2 days. John felt a surge of hope. Lisa might still be on a transport ship. We could intercept them before they reach Tecarus Prime. Olivia studied the star charts. With the quantum drive, we can get ahead of them. Set up an ambush. As they plotted their course, John looked out at the strange stars surrounding them. The aliens feared humans just for existing on a world that had forged them into survivors. The Vikrani had stolen from Deathworlders without understanding what they were. They were about to learn. The Retribution hung silently in the shadow of a small moon. Ahead lay the path the Vikrani transport would take to reach Tecarus Prime. Their plan was simple: intercept the ship, board it, and rescue the human captives before the Vikrani knew what hit them. Transport approaching, Ryan called from his station. Right on schedule. The view screen showed a large vessel moving steadily through space. It was 3 times the size of the Retribution, with the same sleek design they had seen on Europa. John felt his heart rate increase. Lisa might be on that ship just minutes away from him now. Weapons ready, Sam reported. I've modified our systems based on what we learned at the trading post. Their shields should be vulnerable to our focused electromagnetic pulses. Olivia's hands moved across the controls. Ready to engage on your mark, John. John took a deep breath. Take us in. The Retribution moved out from behind the moon, engines flaring as they accelerated toward the Vikrani ship. The element of surprise was complete. The aliens had no warning before Sam fired the first EMP burst. Blue energy rippled across the Vikrani vessel's hull. Its running lights flickered, and it slowed. Direct hit, Sam shouted. Their shields are down. They're trying to hail us, Ryan said. Ignore it, John ordered. Olivia, bring us alongside their docking port. Grace, Sam, with me. The 3 of them rushed to the airlock, checking their gear. Each wore a light environmental suit with a breather mask in case the Vikrani atmosphere was unsuitable. Sam carried a pack of weapons and tools designed to work against alien technology. As the Retribution locked onto the Vikrani ship's emergency docking port, John felt the thump of connection. We're linked. Olivia's voice came through their comms. Ryan and I will hold position and monitor their communications. Be careful in there. John nodded, though she couldn't see him. If we're not back in 30 minutes, leave without us. Not going to happen, Ryan replied. The airlock cycled open. Using tools Sam had designed, they bypassed the Vikrani security and forced their way into the alien ship. The gravity was noticeably lighter than Earth's, making their movements bouncy. Stay alert, John whispered. We don't know how many crew members they have. The interior of the vessel was lit with a pale blue light that made the white corridors seem to glow. The ceiling was higher than human standard, built for the taller Vikrani. They encountered their first alien just around the corner. The blue-skinned being saw them and reached for what looked like a weapon. Sam was faster, firing a stunner that dropped the alien without a sound. Nice shot, Grace said, kneeling to examine the unconscious Vikrani. 4 arms, minimal muscle mass compared to humans. Their homeworld must have significantly lower gravity than Earth. Which means we're stronger here than we would be at home, John realized. Can you access their systems? Grace connected her tablet to a wall panel. The alien script flowed across her screen, translated by their device. I'm in. Accessing ship layout now. There, she pointed to a section of the ship. Detention area, 2 decks down. They moved quickly through the ship, stunning 3 more Vikrani as they went. The aliens were clearly unprepared for intruders, especially ones that moved faster and hit harder than they could. The detention area was a long corridor with 6 sealed doors. Each door had a control panel beside it. Grace worked quickly to override the security. Their system architecture is complex but logical, she muttered. Almost. Got it. The first door slid open. Inside, a human woman in a lab coat looked up, in shock. It wasn't Lisa, but John recognized her. Dr. Natalie Rivers, one of Lisa's team. John? She gasped. How? How are you here? Long story, John said, helping her to her feet. Are you hurt? She shook her head. They've been running tests on us, but nothing harmful. They're actually afraid to touch us much. They keep saying our physiology is impossible. Where's Lisa? John asked urgently. 2 doors down, Natalie pointed. They separated us based on our specialties. They're obsessed with the quantum drive. They can't believe we developed it on our own. Sam went to work on the other doors while Grace helped the emerging scientists. John rushed to the door Natalie had indicated and yanked it open the moment Sam unlocked it. Lisa stood inside, her eyes widening in disbelief. John, he pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly. For a moment, the mission, the danger, the aliens, all of it disappeared as he felt her heart beating against his chest. I knew you'd come, she whispered. The Vikrani didn't believe me when I told them my husband would tear apart the galaxy to find me. John smiled. We need to move. Now. All 12 scientists were freed within minutes. They looked tired but unharmed, just as Natalie had said. The Vikrani are confused by us, Lisa explained as they hurried back toward the airlock. Our bone density, muscle mass, endurance, they think we were genetically engineered. They can't accept that we evolved naturally on Earth. They called us Deathworlders at the trading post, Sam said. Apparently it's rare for sentient life to develop on planets as harsh as Earth. Lisa nodded. They were shocked when they tried to study us in their gravity. What's comfortable for them is like walking on the moon for us, and our immune systems, they can't believe we live with so many microorganisms in our bodies without getting sick. An alarm suddenly blared through the ship. Red lights flashed in the corridors. They've discovered the escape, Grace said, checking her tablet. Security teams are converging on our position. How far to the airlock? John asked. 2 more corridors, Sam replied. They rounded a corner and found their path blocked by 6 Vikrani in what looked like battle armor. Each held weapons pointed at the humans. One stepped forward, its translator producing halting English. Stop. Return specimens to containment. John stepped in front of the scientists. They're not specimens. They're people. Our people. And we're taking them home. The Vikrani made a sound that might have been laughter. Primitive Deathworlders. You are outnumbered, outgunned. Sam whispered to John. I can take 3 on the left if you get the others. John nodded slightly. When I move. What happened next stunned even the humans. John and Sam launched themselves at the Vikrani with speed that seemed impossible in the low gravity. While the scientists pressed against the walls, the 2 men tore into the alien security team like forces of nature. The Vikrani, despite their weapons and armor, were unprepared for the raw strength and speed of angry humans. Their 4 arms gave them some advantage, but John and Sam had trained in Earth gravity all their lives. Each punch they landed sent Vikrani flying. One alien fired its weapon, hitting Sam in the shoulder. He grunted in pain but didn't stop, grabbing the weapon and crushing the alien's hand with it before knocking the being unconscious. In less than a minute, all 6 Vikrani lay on the floor. John had a cut on his cheek, and Sam's shoulder was burned. But they were still standing. The scientists stared in shock. Even Lisa looked stunned. That, Grace whispered, was what it means to be a Deathworlder. They reached the airlock without further resistance and quickly crossed back to the Retribution. As the last scientist came aboard, Ryan's voice came. Over the comm, more Vikrani ships incoming, 3 vessels on intercept course. Get us out of here, John ordered as he helped secure the rescued scientists. Next stop, Tekaris Prime. As the Retribution disengaged and prepared to jump, Lisa stood beside John on the bridge. Tekaris Prime? Their homeworld? John, that's suicide. John took her hand. We're not done yet. They still have the quantum drive technology, and they need to learn a lesson about stealing from Earth. Olivia engaged the quantum drive and the stars blurred around them. Tekaris Prime hung in space before them, a world of pale blue oceans and pink landmasses. From orbit, the Vikrani homeworld looked peaceful and beautiful. Their gravity is only 60% of Earth's, Grace reported, studying the planet data. Atmosphere is thinner too. For them, our world would be a crushing nightmare. The rescued scientists had shared valuable information during the journey. The Vikrani had taken the quantum drive components to their main research facility on the southern continent. Their plan was to reverse engineer the technology and adapt it for their own purposes. The facility will be heavily guarded, Lisa warned, pointing to a map she had created from memory. The security increased each time they tried to study us and realized how strong we were. John looked at his expanded team. With the rescued scientists, they now had 17 people aboard the small ship. Most would stay on the Retribution while a strike team went to the surface. Olivia, can you get us down undetected? John asked. Olivia nodded. Their orbital defenses are designed to stop ships their size or larger. The Retribution is smaller and faster. I can slip through their detection grid during their magnetic storm season, which appears to be now. Ryan looked up from his console. I've intercepted their communications. They know their transport was attacked, but they don't know by whom. They're expecting the stolen drive components to arrive on a different ship in 6 hours. So they don't know we're coming, Sam said with a grin. I like those odds. Don't get overconfident, Lisa cautioned. The Vikrani may not be as physically strong as humans, but their technology is advanced, and they're smart. They were starting to understand the quantum drive principles after just a few days. John outlined the plan. He, Sam, Grace, and Lisa would take a small shuttle to the surface. Olivia and Ryan would remain on the Retribution with the other scientists, ready for a quick departure once the mission was complete. 3 hours later, their shuttle touched down in a forested area 5 miles from the research facility. The pink vegetation was like nothing they had seen on Earth, with broad leaves that seemed to flow like liquid in the light breeze. This air feels strange, Sam commented as they stepped out. Like breathing at high altitude. Their atmosphere has less oxygen than we're used to, Grace explained. And the gravity. John felt it immediately. Each step seemed to launch him further than expected. His muscles, developed in Earth's stronger gravity, made him almost bounce across the alien landscape. We need to control our movements, Lisa advised. Short steps, careful motions. We'll stand out if we're jumping around like astronauts on the moon. They moved through the forest, making their way toward the facility. The lighter gravity let them cover ground quickly despite their caution. When the research center came into view, they paused to study it. The building was a massive dome with smaller structures surrounding it. Vikrani moved about on what appeared to be highways in the air, personal transport platforms that glided silently between buildings. The quantum drive components will be in the main lab, Lisa said quietly. Central dome, 3rd level down. Sam checked his weapons. Security? Guards at all entrances, internal scanners, probably alarm systems we can't even recognize, Lisa replied. John considered their options. We need a distraction. Grace held up a small device. I can help with that. I've been studying their emergency protocols. Their systems are highly sensitive to environmental threats. One small fire in the right place will trigger a full evacuation of the eastern wing. With their plan set, they split into 2 teams. Grace and Sam would create the distraction while John and Lisa went for the quantum drive technology. The chaos began perfectly. From their position, John and Lisa saw Vikrani streaming from the eastern wing as alarm sounds echoed across the complex. Security personnel rushed toward the source of the emergency, leaving the western entrance with minimal guards. John and Lisa moved quickly, their earth-born strength letting them overpower the 2 guards before they could sound an alert. Inside, they found the Vikrani corridors eerily similar to those on the transport ship. High ceilings, soft blue lighting, and gravity that made them feel like they could leap over buildings. Lisa led the way through the facility, her memory of the layout guiding them past laboratories and workrooms. When they reached the main lab, John was surprised to find it unguarded. They never expected anyone to get this far, Lisa explained, as she worked on the door controls. Especially not humans. The door slid open to reveal a large chamber filled with equipment. In the center sat the components of the quantum drive, partially disassembled and connected to Vikrani scanning devices. As Lisa rushed to disconnect the human technology, John stood guard. Through the windows, he could see the distraction had worked perfectly. Smoke rose from the eastern wing, and Vikrani emergency responders swarmed the area. "Got it," Lisa said, carefully placing the core components into a bag. "Let's go." They were halfway back to the entrance when the alarms changed tone. A voice boomed through the facility in the Vikrani language, then repeated in rough English. "Human intruders detected. Security lockdown initiated." "They know we're here," John said. "Run!" They sprinted through the corridors, the light gravity turning their desperate flight into a series of massive bounds. Vikrani security forces appeared ahead, weapons raised. John didn't slow down. He launched himself at them, his earthborn muscles propelling him with force the Vikrani had never encountered. He crashed into them like a bowling ball through pins, sending them flying against walls and ceiling. Lisa followed in his wake, clutching the precious technology. They rounded a corner and found Sam and Grace racing toward them from another direction. "Exits. Sealed," Sam shouted. "We need another way out." Grace pointed to a map on the wall. "Vehicle bay 1 level up. We can steal a transport." They changed direction, bursting through doors and leaping up stairways. The Vikrani were in chaos. Their security systems weren't designed to track targets moving as quickly and unpredictably as humans in low gravity. The vehicle bay was filled with the floating platforms they had seen earlier. Vikrani workers fled as the 4 humans burst in. Sam quickly examined the nearest platform. "Controls are simple. It's basically point and go." They piled onto the platform as more security forces entered the bay. Sam figured out the controls just in time, and they shot out of the opening and into the open air. Below them, the facility was in complete disarray. Alarms blared and Vikrani rushed in all directions. Other platforms rose in pursuit, but Sam pushed their stolen craft to speeds the Vikrani rarely attempted, making it wobble dangerously. "They're gaining on us," Grace called, looking back at their pursuers. Lisa studied the platform controls. "The safety limiters are active. Let me..." She pried open a panel and made a quick adjustment. Suddenly, the platform surged forward with doubled speed, nearly throwing them off. Only their Earth-trained reflexes let them hang on. "How did you know to do that?" John asked, gripping the edge tightly. Lisa grinned. "They explained their vehicle safety systems while studying us. They design everything with multiple backups and fail-safes. They can't imagine taking risks the way humans do." They reached the shuttle just ahead of their pursuers. As they raced aboard, Sam triggered the devices he'd planted around their landing zone. Bright flashes and smoke erupted, confusing the Vikrani sensors and buying them the seconds they needed to lift off. As the shuttle rose through the atmosphere, they could see more Vikrani ships scrambling to intercept them. But Olivia was ready, bringing the retribution in low for a perfect rendezvous. The moment the shuttle docked, the ship accelerated upward. "Multiple Vikrani vessels on intercept," Ryan reported as they reached the bridge. "Quantum drive ready?" John asked. Lisa nodded, already connecting the recovered components. "Ready. They didn't damage anything essential." Before jumping, John opened a channel to the Vikrani. "This is John Summers of Earth. You took our people and our technology. We've taken them back. Remember this day. Remember what humans are capable of. We don't want war, but we will defend what's ours." He nodded to Lisa, who activated the drive. As space bent around them, John looked at the view screen showing the Vikrani homeworld shrinking behind them. The Vikrani had learned an important lesson today. Never steal from a Deathworlder.